everybody. Today I just kind of wanted to go over a few products that I use in the studio on a regular basis. Something to keep you efficient and get the look you're really going for. So in my shop, I have a few cutting tools. A good old knife, straight edge, they can be as expensive or inexpensive as you want. This is just a nice, quick, easy thing that you can hold in your hand. It's really, really easy to get those good cuts. I hold it like this and use my thumb to kind of just make a quick little angled cut on my flowers here. Pliers for or clippers for those woody stems. I use the pass-through that are like scissors. To not squish the water tubes in the flower stem. You want to really be able to get those nice, clean, quick, crisp cuts. Wire cutters for any of my ribbon wire, where you twist it up or whatnot. And for the floral netting or chicken wire, whatever you want to call it. And of course, a good old-fashioned pair of scissors. I forgot my waterproof tape. You've got two kinds of tape. You have this, it's for dry stuff or wrapping like your bouquet stems. It stretches out, and when it stretches, it kind of gets a sticky kind of feel to it, only almost like wax sort of. It wraps around all of your bases and stuff really, really good. Hold those bouquets nice and tight before you do your ribbon wrap. Waterproof tape is perfect on containers. You can, it says water in it, you can do a grid pattern to hold your stems kind of loose so you get a nice aeration and spacing between your stems there. This is a standard brick of Oasis floral foam. It is great, it's super versatile, however, it is not overly friendly for the environment. I try to use it as sparingly as possible. There's a few things that I just have not come up with a good long-term solution for home deliveries, but for a lot of my event work I try not to use it. It's cuttable, customizable, you can fit it into whatever container you want, and then of course soak it and design with it. And I try to use this as much as possible because it's a little bit more environmental friendly. It is quite literally coated chicken wire. You can you get a little more vase life out of it because the foam will tend to clog the flower stems possibly over time. But this, you can just cut it down the side, mold it into whatever shape you need, put it in your container, use it as your base for bouquets. It's super, super versatile. You get a huge bale of it. It's not too expensive at all. But those are my big main tools. I basically use all of this every day. I'm gonna go through and show you how to do a dozen red rose bouquet real quick. We do them really often, during the holidays or anniversaries or whatnot for a wrapped bouquet. Something smaller for bridesmaids. Sometimes we get them for. I like to use multiple kinds of greenery. These are really basic, you can get it anywhere kind of stuff. This is a leatherleaf fern. It's kind of making a big comeback, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. It lasts forever. In the heat, stays gorgeous, nice and glossy, beautiful. Salal, locally foraged. I really try to support local as much as possible. Once again, it's a really long-lasting, textural. You can cut it down as much as you want, or it's big and wild. Pittosporum, I really like it. I try to stay away from the new growth on the Pittosporum because it just doesn't last as long. It gets brown, it kind of like falls over. It comes in both this nice glossy dark green and a variegated where it's more of a minty color with a cream color edge. And then for some textural funness, I have some spiral eucalyptus and some curly willow. First things first is I always start with my greenery base because I want it to be, you know, if your base is beautiful, then it doesn't matter what flowers you put in there. It really, you know, it'll be eye-catching. Let me move this over here. Very basic, standard urn. You can get them everywhere. Like I said, you know, classic shape. Very, very popular shape. You know, grandma's always got a whole cupboard full of vases. There's guaranteed to be one in here. I like to start with some of my heavier stems, some of my hardscape. You know, if you're doing landscaping, you do your structural pieces first. Nice, clean, crisp lines. I do one motion movement, so you know, take off that extra there. Any leaves that are going to be below the water line, you're going to want to take off. Foliage or flowers below the water line will encourage bacterial growth, and that's what you really want to stay away from. That's a big difference between floral arrangements and something that you're going to get from the grocery store. We have a whole line of products that we use to ensure healthy, bacteria-free products. When we get the flowers either from a wholesale market or a wholesale house or farm direct, which I do both. We have a specific product called Quick Dip. It opens up all the capillaries in the flower stems and the greenery stems to really suck that water in. Gets it all nice and hydrated because they will be very dehydrated after shipping. I'm just figuring out where I want to separate this here. I know it seems crazy to tear off all of these leaves, but I promise it makes all the difference. So now I have this kind of foundation of the salal, and I will add in my pittosporum and my leather leaf. But yeah, so we start with a quick dip. It opens up all of the capillaries in the plants to really get them nice and hydrated. And then we move them to cool storage. You know, we have our walk-ins. They're specifically set at certain humidity and temperatures. We keep everything really, really cold. And we put it in another product to kind of put them almost in a dormant state to really, that's not a very happy one, to kind of stop the life cycle of the flower to ensure as much base life as we possibly can. You know, I hate to order things and then just have them rot on me, which sometimes happens. You know, I get a little order crazy because there's so many good things out there, and then all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, what am I gonna do with, you know, all of these things that I got? And then once it's in the cooler, it's in a standard flower food. I use a Floral Next, you know, it hydrates, it feeds, it's an antibacterial to keep that bacteria out of the water from forming. That's the huge thing for flowers, is bacteria growth. That's what makes them go bad after only a couple of days. You know, keep the water clean, keep it bacteria free, and you will have long base life. Got my pittosporum in. I'm going for the leather leaf now for yet another texture. And then when we, you know, in my shop, when we create a design for you, we then put it in flower food in the vase itself. That way it can continually fight bacteria. And then we use a finishing spray. I personally use Hawaiian Mist. It's a topical flower food. It feeds, you know, from the petals, it sucks it in, versus up from the stem. It's just a nice finisher. If I was doing like corsage work or something that didn't have a water source, I would use Crowning Glory because that's a sealer and it just doesn't allow or greatly reduces the hydration loss in flowers so that it lasts all through your event. Now see, I have this nice big textural greenery base, lots of dimension. And if you notice, if I take one thing, you know, the whole thing kind of moves. That means that all of my stems are nice and locked in the bottom. You can see I have no no foliage below the water line. All my stems are crisscross. I have a good center binding point. Then I'm gonna start with my roses here. If you notice how big that flower head is, these are, you know, Floral Direct. These are from a Farm Direct down in South America. And so they cut and they ship right to me, right to my door. And that way I get the freshest product possible. This is gonna be a one-sided arrangement. So I start at the bottom here and build my way up. You know, you can always, and I kind of try and measure, you know, if I can see, okay, if my rose is gonna be this tall, then I know, then I kind of get a better idea of where to cut it here. But yep, I get Farm Direct. I get local as much as possible, but it's a little bit early here for most of our items. So I do shop our local market first, and then I put orders in depending on what their availability list is. We have some really great farms here. I'm really blessed to be in Oregon. We have a really long growing season and a lot of really amazing farmers that I like to support as much as I possibly can. For the classic dozen, you know, I start with 2 at the bottom, and then I do 3 and then 2, and that gives me a really good circle base to start with. And then you can, okay, so I've got this here, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. These are a little bit high. Let's move them over here. Just to be able to get that whole dozen in there. And then 1. And notice they don't go anywhere. You know, you can really jiggle that. That's because you locked all of those stems with the greenery already, and you're making like this perfect bed for the roses to really rest in. Gives them space to open up, and so that you can see the beauty of each individual blossom. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which leaves 5 roses left. And I like to do my center high one and then do 2 on the side, so you kind of get your last little arch here. So measure that, put that right there in the middle, make sure that I like the placement there. So it makes all the difference here. Let's see, might be a little bit high, but we'll see. And then 2 off to the side. 2. You know, when you have this shape down, it's a little heavy there, you can do a dozen roses in your sleep fast. You know, when I have it turned around facing me and I'm in the design zone, I've been doing this for so long, you can do a dozen roses in about 7 minutes flat. Designing for you guys is a little weird with it facing you, so you can kind of see how everything goes here. And sometimes it takes a little bit of playing with, you know, because flowers are living things. Let me turn this around so I can kind of see a little bit better. Flowers are living things, and they always kind of have a mind of their own sometimes. As much as I want them to do exactly what I want them to do, they don't always do that. And then you've got your 2 for this side over here. Fresh ends always. You have seconds to get them in water after you cut an end. Otherwise you get air in there and it causes premature bacterial growth. You know, it makes it air pockets in there so they don't get the water that they need, and you can kind of play around once all your stems are in. You can kind of play around with that shape a little bit, but that is your basic dozen roses. You know, you can add a bow on the collar if you're a bow person. My mom loves bows. I'm not the biggest bow person, but you know, pay attention to your local market. Each cultural place is different. You know, each region will be different. Each city will be different. I am in Portland, Oregon, and we tend to like things much more either natural or very, very like modern, trendy. Pop in your eucalyptus for flash and flare. Once again, you see me stripping all of those ends off there because you don't want that foliage in the water. Make sure it gets down into the water reservoir. Get all this old foliage off. There you go. If you like, you can always add your curly willow door clippers for the nice, clean, smooth clip. And then add that right in there. You know, adjust whatever needs to be adjusted. And there you are. A very flashy dozen rows. Let me adjust it now that I can kind of see a little more what I'm working with here. Some of my greenery's a little wild. Yep, every flower will be different. You're gonna, you know, want to play it by ear each and every time, completely. You know, nothing will ever be the same. Everything's always gonna have a mind of its own, and you're just gonna have to adjust as needed. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. If you guys have questions, let me know. Comment below and I will get back to you as fast as possible. We are a full service shop, like I said, in the Portland, Oregon area. We try to support as much local e-commerce as possible, just because, you know, keep those dollars where here, keep them in your community. We are avid gardeners, so sometimes we're able to grow some of our own stems. We are hopefully buying property, and I'll be putting in a greenhouse to be able to grow some of my own product. And you know, it's a learning curve. You'll never know everything there is to know about flowers. I, you know, grow and learn new things every day. I think that's part of getting a really good wholesale house that backs you up too, is they're resources. They know their stuff. They can, if you don't know about a specific variety, if you're not sure how long something will last, what's the face like on some of these newer varieties that are coming out? Because, you know, they're always coming out with new and improved products, new and improved floral varieties, new and improved colors. You know, every day there's a new product coming out, and it's hard for us to keep busy and keep a shop going. You gotta just constantly keep up with times, but they are an amazing resource for you. I mean, their whole job is to know. And they get updates from growers, they get updates from farms, they get updates from various government agencies about new rules or regulations, or if something's happening. They're gonna know about any of the, you know, vendor put on specials or anything like that. They're gonna know all that stuff. So they're an amazing resource, and you really need to tap tap into that if you need. Some of my eucalyptus is a little wild child today, but here we are. You can see that every rose has its own home. You got some fun textural elements with the curly willow, nice greenery base, no foliage, you know, below the water line, and there you are. 1 dozen classic red roses. Subscribe, follow along. I'll be having lots and lots of DIY videos, how-to videos, product demonstrations here coming up in the future, and I love to talk with you. If you guys have any questions at all, just feel free to let me know.